By October 2025, the illusions had shattered. Tens of thousands of jobs gone in a matter of months. Houses that used to sell in days sat for months. Neighborhoods that roared with bidding wars went silent. Over the next 10 minutes, you'll meet 3 families who lost everything, see the hard numbers behind a nearly 20% plunge from the peak, and hear why the people in charge refused to say the word: collapse. Ryan and Jennifer moved to Austin chasing the dream. He was a software engineer, she worked in marketing. Combined, $285,000 a year. They bought a new house in Round Rock, 4 bedrooms, perfect schools. But in March 2024, Ryan's tech startup ran out of funding. Laid off. 2 months later, Jennifer's department was cut. Their paychecks stopped. Their dream home became a trap. Their savings evaporated. And their story is just one of thousands. By the end of 2024, fast. Median home prices plunged from $659,500 to $430,000, a nearly 20% collapse. Inventory skyrocketed to decade highs, and 18% of homeowners who bought at the 2022 peak now owed more than their homes were worth. For many, equity that took years to build vanished overnight. This wasn't a correction, this was a crisis. And yet, the people who could stop it? Silent. By October 2025, Austin wasn't just slowing down, it was collapsing. Homes that once sold in days now sat empty for months. Buyers vanished. Inventory exploded. Prices cratered nearly 20% from the peak. Tens of thousands of workers, engineers, designers, marketers were suddenly unemployed. The city that bragged about its tech boom was hemorrhaging talent, money, and hope. The tech giants that built Austin up were leaving. Tesla slashed 2,688 jobs at its Gigafactory, the largest layoff in Austin history. Oracle packed up its headquarters and moved to Nashville. Microsoft, Indeed, Bumble, all cutting staff, all shrinking their presence. Jobs evaporated, demand vanished, and the market that once soared on hype and high salaries imploded. Developers had overbuilt, assuming the boom would never end. Subdivisions sprouted, apartment towers rose, office buildings filled with promises. But promises don't pay mortgages. Supply far outpaced demand, and the math was brutal. Too many homes chasing too few buyers. The crash wasn't coming, it was already here. And the worst part? Those in charge pretended nothing had changed. Governor Abbott stood at podiums, boasting about Texas's economic growth, job creation, and global rankings. Not a word about the tens of thousands of Austin tech jobs disappearing. Not a hint about the housing market bleeding out. Silence filled the room where families were losing everything. A bomb. Tesla announced it would lay off 2,688 workers at its Austin Gigafactory, 12% of its staff, with a single email. "Your last working day will be today," it read. No warning, no explanation, just instant unemployment. Thousands of families frozen mid-paycheck, mid-move, mid-life plans. The city's economic engine was stalling, and everyone could feel it. 1 month later, Microsoft shut down its Arcane Austin studio. 96 employees gone. Indeed cut roughly 1,000 jobs. Oracle abandoned Austin entirely. Each departure drained more buyers from the market, more confidence from homeowners. The tech boom that once fueled Austin's skyline had become the very force dragging it down. By mid-2024, home prices were already tumbling. Median value dropped from $659,500 to around $430,000, a near 20% collapse. Homes that once commanded bidding wars sat for months. Active listings surged past 15,000 properties. Months of supply hit nearly 6, a market tipping point. Austin had officially flipped from a seller's paradise to a buyer's nightmare. Developers and investors were stunned. They had built tens of thousands of homes, apartments, and office spaces, assuming the boom would continue forever. They had ignored the warning signs: rising interest rates, tech layoffs, and population shifts. Now, supply far exceeded demand, and the math was unforgiving. Too many houses, too few buyers, and millions of dollars evaporating in equity. Meanwhile, political leadership ignored reality. Governor Abbott touted Texas as the 8th largest economy in the world, bragged about new jobs and business-friendly policies, and celebrated housing legislation. But he never mentioned the tech exodus, the thousands of lost jobs, or the families trapped underwater in their homes. In Austin, the city burning under its own boom, silence was a luxury nobody could afford. By late 2024, the exodus was undeniable. Cart.com moved its headquarters back to Houston. Rooster Teeth shut down entirely, laying off 133 employees. YouTube Music closed its Austin office, 43 staffers gone. Each company leaving drained more buyers, more confidence, more stability from the city. The tech lifeblood that fueled Austin's boom was bleeding out, fast. Homeowners who bought at the peak were trapped. Median homes that had sold for $500,000 or more in 2022 were now worth $430,000 on average. Some sellers had to take $55,000 or more losses just to escape. Nearly 18% of 2022 buyers were underwater. For FHA loans, the picture was even worse: 65% underwater. Families with modest down payments now faced negative equity, financial ruin, and tough choices they never imagined. The rental market softened too. Apartment rents dropped to around $1,300 a month. Vacancy rates climbed to 10%. Landlords offered concessions: free rent, waived fees, reduced deposits, anything to fill empty units. Commercial real estate wasn't spared either. Office vacancies hovered near 30%. Spaces once filled with tech employees now sat abandoned. Austin's skyline told the story of collapse just as clearly as the housing charts. Venture capital dried up. Startups raised $6.75 billion in 2021. By 2023, funding fell nearly 43%. Investors pulled back, companies folded, and the promise of Austin as a tech hub faded. Plans for expansion, new offices, big campuses, all evaporated almost overnight. The city that once rode the wave of Silicon Hills prestige was now a cautionary tale. Narrative ignored it all. Governor Abbott praised Texas's economy, celebrated new jobs, and championed housing bills. But he never addressed the root problem. Demand had collapsed because tech workers were gone. Thousands of households underwater, homes sitting unsold, Austin's economy hemorrhaging. And the people who were supposed to act? Silent. Kingdom's tuck collapse didn't just crush homes, it crushed dreams. Families who bought at the peak were stuck paying high mortgages on homes worth far less than they owed. Equity evaporated, savings vanished. Hope drained from neighborhoods that had once been vibrant with new money, ambition, and possibility. By early 2025, the numbers told a brutal story. Median home prices had fallen nearly 20% from the 2022 peak. Active listings surged past 15,000 properties, up nearly 70% from pre-pandemic levels. Months of supply climbed to 5.9, far above the neutral level of 4. Homes that once sold in a week now lingered for 3 months or more, often with prices dropping below asking. The tech exodus continued to ripple. Samsung announced a $17 billion megaplant outside Austin, but the jobs wouldn't arrive until 2027, and they weren't high-paid tech roles. The high salaries that once drove the housing market were gone. Austin's economic engine remained stalled, leaving homeowners stuck and buyers cautious. Commercial real estate suffered even more. Offices that had been leased for tech startups sat empty. Vacancy rates hovered near 30%. Buildings once buzzing with innovation now echoed with silence. The city that had become a national example of tech migration had become a cautionary tale of over-reliance on one industry. And in the midst of this, Governor Abbott's words felt hollow. Housing bills passed, permits streamlined, denser developments allowed. But none of it brought jobs back. None of it restored home values. Austin's collapse was not about red tape. It was about demand, which was gone. The city's boom had turned into a bust, and the people in charge were pretending everything was fine. Austin had built its empire on tech jobs, high salaries, and non-stop migration. When those jobs vanished, so did the market. Homes remained unsold, equity disappeared, dreams evaporated. The city's once booming neighborhoods were now warning signs for every tech-dependent city in America. Phoenix, who believed in Austin, were trapped. They couldn't sell without massive losses. They couldn't refinance. Some walked away from homes, destroying credit but stopping the financial bleeding. Others stayed, hoping for recovery that might take years. Meanwhile, companies and workers kept leaving. The cycle of collapse fed itself. And Governor Abbott? He continued to tout Texas as the economic blueprint of America. Housing bills, job creation, investments, all praised publicly. But Austin's crisis persisted, ignored at the podiums where solutions should have been offered. The tech exodus had destroyed the city's housing market, and nothing in the political theater restored it. The lesson was clear: bet everything on one industry, and when it collapses, everyone pays the price. If this opened your eyes to what's really happening in Austin and across tech cities nationwide, hit subscribe. More layoffs, more market crashes, and more stories like this are coming, and you don't want to miss what happens